Greetings. My name is Mark Norman. I'm the Director of Instrumental Ensembles at UNC School of the Arts. And my Take 5 video today is going to be on balance and dynamics, and maybe rethinking what both of those mean. So first, dynamics. When we think of dynamics, we sort of label things in more like 6 different categories. I mean, the 6 common dynamics are pianissimo, piano, mezzo piano, mezzo forte, forte, and then fortissimo. Of course, we occasionally see triple P or triple F, so the pianissimo or the fortissimo, that the composer may use to really get a certain idea through. But in reality, though we have these 6 commonly used dynamic markings, there's an infinite number of dynamics in between and also even outside of what our perception of those may be. Context matters. And so defining dynamics means that we really have to help the composer realize the music that they have put on the page. And that means we have to understand what these dynamics are and give them a purpose or a definition. Now, a lot of times when we think about dynamics, we're also thinking about balance. So, of course, we want to hear the melody and the melodic material come through. So it's good to know when you have something that's more complemental or something that's maybe a counter melody or something that is complementing the melody. We still want to hear the melody. Well, with that complement of the melody, a lot of times it's done by inflection. And so a lot of times composers can't really put that on paper. They're expecting us to be the musicians. So we have to really get a great concept of the piece to really truly understand the dynamics around the page. Now, when we think about like chords and things that maybe come vertically on the page, and we want to actually define that, you can use different mechanisms to sort of help you realize what the balance of that chord may be. Of course, a lot of us have used the pyramid system. The lower sounding instruments create the base of the pyramid, and then the more medium range instruments will fill out the middle to the upper, higher instruments that fill out the top. So we need a little more sound down low, and then in the middle, and then a little less up top. So one way to look at that is maybe using a number range. So let's say we're using a range of 0 to 10. 10 being as loud as you can play, which you probably should never ever do. And then 0 literally being silent. So if we wanted to say this was a mezzo forte chord, then one way I would look at it is I would want the lower voices, the lower woodwinds, the lower brass, to be playing that at around a 5. So if you think of 5 on a 10-point scale, so that's right in the middle, right about where mezzo forte is. So then, if you are playing something like the horns or saxophones and what have you, the sort of the middle voices, then you might want to think of that as a 4.75. That means it's a little less than the lower end, and it helps that middle of the pyramid. It helps define it a little bit. And then, if you're playing like trumpet or flute, or one of the upper sounding instruments on the chord, then you might want to be thinking about 4.5. And that way, using that numbering system sometimes helps us to sort of relate something that we're trying to hear into other terms that we can understand. So that's one way to do it. And so another way to conceive these balance issues is also how do we treat crescendo and decrescendo? Well, if we think of it in just getting louder and softer, the problem with that, it gets very inadequate, and that may be a very different definition for all of us. And also, what about the timbre? The timbre is so important. So for the way I do it, the way I like to explain it, and it has seemed to work well for me, is that I like to think of our sound as being a bubble. And so we're inside this bubble, and we can project this bubble to very great lengths, or we can actually make it more intimate and make it right here. Now, when we're thinking about getting the sound louder, we don't want it to get, strident. We want it to actually expand like a bubble. And if you notice, bubbles, they're very pliable on the outside. They're always moving like this, so there's always this energy that is happening. That we don't just go, we actually shimmer the sound as we come back and forth. So if you think of this way of dynamics, so maybe the composer wants this. Maybe they say when they write piano, they're saying, I want the music to be more intimate. Or, another way of doing it is that I want it to be really distant. But for right now, let's talk about intimacy. So let's say it's like a conversation. If I was going to have a conversation with somebody that was standing right here where this music stand is, I would want my bubble to be appropriate to that size. And that means when I'm expressing myself, I'm still doing it fluidly. I'm still moving my air, but I'm just wanting the sound to be right here. The conversation is here. But if I want to open up that sound to an audience, then I need to let my bubble expand. And if I let my bubble expand, I'm still having a quality of voice. I'm not trying to talk like that. I'm trying to talk like this. That's a very different projection. That now I want to include more. And I want the full sound. So if I want to go from this to here, I just simply let the bubble shrink down to right here. And if I want to go the opposite way, I let it expand to here. And you tend to get, one, more consistent growth in the bubble, as opposed to yah, you get yee. And the other part of it, you hold on to the timbre, and yes, the pitch. The pitch is so important. So if we start thinking of things in more like a bubble atmosphere when we're doing crescendi and decrescendi, I think that will be something that you will find to be very useful. The other good thing about that is, again, we're defining the dynamic. What does the composer really want to say? Because between piano and mezzo piano, there's an infinite number of dynamics. So if I'm growing like a bubble, that means I'm going to cover all those dynamics. So I'm going to go from here to here without going here, here. I'm actually going to go here to here instead of here, here. It's a very different concept from going from piano to mezzo piano. And again, as we did before, if I want to go piano to mezzo forte, again, I want to cover all those infinite degrees of dynamics. So I want to let my grow the bubble to here and then come back, but make sure I don't leave any of those sounds out all the way along the way. So I hope you understand the concepts of these. So again, think about this, sort of in review. Make sure that when you look at dynamics, you understand the context. Why is a composer asking for that dynamic at that time? Is it a balance issue? Or is it something that he wants, or he or she wants to have a melodic figure that is exposed, or maybe an event in the music that's exposed? And then when you're looking at crescendi and decrescendi, where is the music going, and are you going to get there? And when you arrive, will you sustain there? And when you come back, will you actually get all the other degrees in between when we do these hairpins? I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please email me at normanm@uncsa.edu. And thank you very much for our time today.